Okay, sige. Okay, nag-start na tayo ng podcast dito sa testing ng I don't know what this is. Isa na naman fucking podcast na hindi magiging regular sa aking mundo. I
Oh,
am Giselle Nicolas. Um, I'm sure walang nanonood sa channel ko ngayon. Pero kasama ko si Rob Cham, my good friend and ex-housemate that I lived with. How many years did we live together
two
sa house?
years.
2 years.
2 years.
Eh,
Yeah.
2 years? I thought it would be like three. Pero like,
Maybe three.
uh,
I
might,
left at the last year and then left you to
oh,
ruin the house.
I didn't. We cleaned it up.
Sure.
Okay, so I asked si Rob na parang I want to do like a regular podcast thing na just talking about comics. Because I realized
Yeah.
I'm talking craft and stuff with my friends. And si Rob is actually one of the most consistent people na I know who keeps making comics despite the lack of great remuneration.
Yeah.
Even for someone who is on his level, it is still a struggle. Ganun. Kasi like you could dedicate more of that time to other things that parang will bring you more money. But like for some reason, he's one of the few people na parang uh, the the confluence of grants and also loving making it has made it a little bit easier compared to other people.
Yeah.
So can you speak to your projects right now?
Right now, I'm working on my third graphic novel,
Mm-mm.
sequel to Light and Lost. My one pick-off graphic novel with my writer friend Marco Sumayao.
Mm-mm.
And on the daily, I work for Linya Linya, where we make short memes and comics talking about Filipino life and culture. Yeah. And
Can
right now,
you?
I'm also working on animation,
Oh yeah,
storyboarding for
rocket ship,
announced.
diba?
Yeah, yeah. But I can't talk about. Oh, wait, I can. Walang NDA. But yeah, storyboarding for them for like different projects. Yeah.
Is it like in general na different projects na
Sometimes commercial, minsan pochi, minsan nisin. But like there was one where we did a pitch for a company and then I got to make a whole series na ito yung outlines, I got to plot it and it was pretty fun. And then di siya pumasa. Then I became part of story team on this animated series for Rocket Sheep. And yeah, and it's cool seeing my name in the credits, even though I just said, all right, here are the morals we have to tackle. Ito na. So like, yay, I'm learning new things. I know how to make my stories. I now work with teams on making animated series and movies. It's great.
so like no well pero you're like one of the guys na parang
Mm.
it's so funny kasi yung success mo and then that's not what you went to school for is very
Yeah.
insulting for all the people like me. And nagpunta sa school tapos pero like it just shows you how much of a scam school is. Pero anyway,
I don't
um
know. I don't know. Like
no, there's worth it. I'm kidding. Pero like it's just you got did you when you were taking up um
management.
management, did
Yeah.
you ever think na parang gagawa ko ng Pochi animation kahit storyboards man lang?
Hindi. Parang
Was it closer na parang magiging akong district manager ng Pochi plant?
nah, I don't know what I wanted when I was in college, man. Like I just went there because I thought, yeah, business degree, get a good job after. But before that, you know the story naman na parang kept making my own comics. And then in college, it just locked out na post comics online about
Mm.
me finding the hipster king, and then suddenly I got jobs from it, and then I just kept making stuff. Ended up being a teacher, ended up being a creative director, ended up being a web designer, all these different things that I thought, oh, I'll give it a try. If it goes wrong,
I
now
mean,
I'm like, I have a
it,
very particular set of skills. I will
ang
find it.
galing nga eh. Kasi parang you were also, like, pero like, I thought na parang, oh, like, Rob's gonna be like a teacher. Tapos ngayon, it's like, also all of these other things na parang, you had
Mm,
yung Red Horse commercial, and then you have these, all of these other mga projects that you're talking about. Um, has
yeah.
it made you happy? Is that too much of a Mark Maron thing to ask?
Nah, man. It did. It does. Today, there's this animation project I'm working on today. Now, it's a bunch of like songs for kids, and then they showed me the like test animation, and then we showed it to some kids, and then the kid just lit up. Na parang he saw the cartoon bunny that I designed, and then he was like, "Oh." And then like he cooed, like the baby cooed, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I don't know. That's one of the things that makes me happy-ish that I didn't expect, because I don't make stuff for kids, right? Like I didn't intend Light or Lost to be for kids. I didn't
Mm,
intend to make comics for kids. They make art for kids, and now it's like they're a big market for me, and I don't
mm,
understand it. There's like kids at cons that started making comics because they read Light and Lost, and then they go come
mm.
up and then like, here's my comic. Do you want to trade? And then like, it's like it's touching as fuck, man.
Oh, that's true. That's
Yeah,
good. I
I was
can't
at
even get yung if
Graphica.
you put to read the Pico thing.
Yeah.
Like show him, Josh, oh, I drew you. That's you, Josh. That is good to know. Gumagano na siya.
Yeah, and then he just leaves it.
Mm.
And
Pero like, I have a question. Kasi like, kasi it seems like there's like this level of you didn't expect, diba? It just
yeah,
happened. You did, and then it happened. And
yeah.
then when you go into yung process of like drawing the thing, what's your thinking? Is it like I have certain intentions for this, and I will base the success of this piece based on the success of yung reception of yung piece, or is it more of like I just like doing it? Kasi like I feel like
Mm.
those are two things na parang like yung the conscious artist, and then like the artist na parang like not locks into it, but you understand what I'm getting at. Parang like, where do you get
Yeah,
more yung pleasure?
you.
Is it the reception or is it the making? I mean,
Yeah, yeah. It's like you see people who try to make it for a certain audience or try to impress certain people. I think that's a valid path, then. Eh.
mm-mm.
Like I remember that's how I started having ambitions towards these things, diba? Na parang I want to make an impression sa comics community, sa Comic Cons, all the other cons that were around back then when we started out.
Mm.
And yan, like yung mga BLTX, I wanted validation from that crowd, diba? Then, yan nga, like I started making, like, instead of just my auto-bio stuff, kasi I took the different critiques to heart. Na, I remember you telling me after you read like my first few comics na parang, yeah, this is okay.
No, it was like,
Yeah, it's an
no,
interesting voice, diba?
mm,
Yeah. Like, I remember Jerry, like, just really confused at yung comics going stories and stuff.
was he really liked it. You were like
Yeah.
hot shit for like yung sa Sputnik and stuff ganon. There was
Yeah.
like I remember you first con, there was like you were with Sputnik, so you had like a big table. Tapos there was like a
Yeah.
good line sa iyo. Tapos
Yeah.
like si Makoy giving me a copy. Si Makoy Tang ng Amasa
Yeah.
giving me a copy and then me wanting to buy kasi parang like, man, like, undeniable, there's something there, ganon.
Yeah.
Tapos parang, and then we struck up a friendship, ganon. Kasi you said na
Yeah.
parang, oh, yung windmills. Pero fuck that.
Oh yeah,
Pero
we
like,
should tell the podcast.
no,
Like
no, 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 wag na, it's fine. It'll get out,
I
whatever. Pero like,
Sputnik was a store in Cubao X, and Giselle consigned some comics there. And like I never saw a lot of autobio comics. You could only ever see mga 13, mga Kiko Machine, Pugad Baboy. So to see him make autobio comics, that told me na parang I can also do this. So yun, like
but you know the dumb thing about that is,
what?
that happened to me with Sir Jerry when I
Yeah,
read yung Wasted, and then it was like, but the funny thing then is when I read yung Wasted, so like I finished reading it, I thought it was like an American or something, and then at the
yeah.
end there was like this interview with him, and then he was talking about, oh, I read Will's Portasio and I figured out that he was Filipino, and that made me think that I could make comics, and then I was like, wait, Filipino si Sir Jerry, so I can make comics too. It's like this
Hmm.
Ouroboros of parang, oh, okay, like obviously pareho
Yeah.
tayo brown or something.
Oh, tanga na. Thanks, Jeans, for sponsoring Rob Liefeld. I think Jag ba yan?
But it is funny na parang like when you see that, it's that example of like someone doing a thing tas parang, oh, I guess I can do that, ganun, and then you can
Yeah.
improve upon it, ganun, and like, ano.
Yeah.
And
Or
then,
unintentionally improve upon it. Like
but it's
you.
so funny na parang like, um
Mm,
kasi we're both basically province kids. Ikaw Baguio and then Batangas ako. And
yeah.
then like, um I remember seeing yung Culture Crush, and then sobrang in love ako sa gawa ni Mike David,
Yeah.
yung
Yeah.
kick, Kubori
Yung
Kick
Kubori
Yam.
Kikiam.
And
Yeah.
then years fucking later, we're just fucking hanging out with him. Parang, oh,
Yeah.
wow. Like, it's so weird.
And
Like,
like he still intimidates me. Like he's cool and stuff. Like
yeah.
ah,
Like, parang like, okay. Like, I'm not as intimidated anymore. But also, like, it's so weird na parang, I didn't know how this would work eh. Kasi like, for a time I was the young kid, and then for a time you were the young kid, and then we're being grandfathered out in a way eh. Pero like, then
I
the
won't let
scene,
that happen.
I'm fucking sitting on this throne.
I made my bed. I'm gonna lie in it.
It's so like, I will say like, I feel like I'm out of touch sa scene.
Sa comics. Yeah.
Like I can't figure out. But I also don't. I haven't read a lot of comics, so parang like I've fallen out of yung habit. I make comics. I don't think
Mhm.
it's like unusual nga din. I think si Sir Jerry, when he was alive, was talking about the parang, yeah, I don't really read a lot of the stuff that I work on, or like
Mm.
may ganong aspect. Ikaw, have you read anything lately na parang?
Lot of the new Pen Lab titles because that's
Mm.
where the kids can put their stuff. And you know me, like every con, I would always buy way more than I make, just so that I have that stack of comics. Because like I want to know who's there, diba? So I
So
can beat them.
you think that, no? Kasi si
Yeah,
Sir Jerry was like that dati, di ba? He'd like go
yeah.
around the cons. He'd be the best guy na parang, oh my God, and this is Sir Jerry. Like, he's gonna buy every comic dito sa
Everyone,
line na to.
yeah, everyone would be hyped when he goes near your table, and then it feels like a selection process. Na parang, will I be chosen? Will I be chosen?
God, that was like parang, oh, at least I sell one copy to one person I like. Ganun.
Yeah,
Uh,
man.
it's such a
It,
different scene now. Sorry, continue.
no, go.
No, I
Such
just
a different scene now.
it's such a different scene kasi parang,
Mm.
I think when yung con scene started, there was like that disparity between people who had worked in the industry and then parang who made money off of comics, right? And then
Yeah.
mga parang like you're just independent na parang you can't even draw ears, something like that. You don't know anatomy. Ganon.
Yeah.
Manga ka lang, ganon. And then
Mm.
now it's like it's not that. It's more like um gano'ng kadami followers mo, gano'ng kadami yung reach mo and stuff. Um
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I can't even make sense of it for myself because I've been so sporadic in terms of that online presence. But like, what's your take on it? Like, how is it affecting yung creators and yung processes? Ganon.
I haven't seen how it affects creators, comic
Mm.
creators. I've seen how it affects yung art PH people. Yung mga young artists who
Mm.
kind of post on the hashtag, mga people who post on Guhit Pinas, people who post in mga artists na di naliligo, stuff like that. Ang daming discussions every month about what exactly is your direction as an artist, na is your worth your follower count, is your worth the number of likes or retweets on a
Mm.
post, is it the comments, is it how many followers you get on TikTok. There are TikTokers na art PH na they would show yung whip ng art they're about to post and then hype it up and then like, yo, nandito na yung finished product.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
do
know,
that.
like it's
Oh.
an interesting cult of personality kind of place, and that is how you get work na. Like that's how
Mm.
people find you. So I understand why the young up and comers want that. And then sa comics, it's not like that, diba? Na parang how does your follower count affect your readership? And then the best we can see is mga tarantadong kalbo,
Mm.
hanghang flashbacks na there's these fan bases who will buy their books, libreng comics, ganun. Skate,
Um. Um.
Little
Um.
Things
Little
PH.
things. I was gonna say little things. I love little things.
Yeah, sobrang, I love them all. Like, well deserved. As in, like, yung comics part is like you have to reach that level, I guess.
Mm.
Na you become that kind of icon for people. Si Jan Jan Comics, for example.
Mm.
Yan.
Electromilk.
Electromilk. Ganda
I
ng
like I
comics niya.
like I like Electromilk a lot kasi parang
Yeah.
he has that reach and then he also tries to guide people
Say
into
something.
yung longer works niya. And it's not just in saying something.
Yeah.
It's like other people would focus more on yung short strips that would get them more followers and then do the same thing over and over again. Pero like si Electromilk Wood is doing yung ang manananggal and then he had that shorter work na parang
Yeah.
I forgot ko sino he adapted like a piece ganun.
Yeah.
Tapos parang there's that idea of wanting to do more rather than yung strip kasi parang
Yeah.
like yung long form yung short comics, yung mga one page or mga four panel comics, they're very different from like long form stuff and then parang
Yeah.
like ano, I don't know where to go from there. Kasi parang I've been thinking a lot about it. Tapos parang part of me feels
Yeah.
like it's affected bukod sa craft. Pero like magaling mag-drawing lahat ng tao eh. It wasn't even like when I started, na pangit kami lahat mag-drawing. Like absolute garbage shit kami mag-drawing lahat. And then it's like,
Yeah.
well, you know, you're here na, you spent 100 pesos papunta dito at saka kasama na yung ticket doon. You better buy my shitty comics.
Yeah. Get what your money is worth.
Now
I
it's
was
like,
looking at my old drawings today. Like, I don't
Ah.
know how this sold.
oh man, like,
Yeah.
hindi. Like, I think yung lettering pa lang eh. Like, sobrang benta. Like, I'm being serious kasi parang
Yeah.
everyone was trying to do yung webtoons, shitty,
Fonts.
Illustrator, font, comics na parang, para siyang professionally lettered ng Comic Craft. But it never fit yung art. And it was
Yeah.
always like shitty and then parang, oh my god, I hate that. I hate when people do that.
Yeah, and then me with my obsessive lettering impressed people. Yay!
I don't know.
But
Well,
yeah,
but like I
but
don't
I get
know.
what you're asking. Where anong ginagawa ng youth today? How is the comic scene now? What is valued? How do people find readers? Where do people find books? Right now, I think I told you na PenLab seems to be one of the platforms na you can read longer form content. So it opened up opportunity for people like Electromilk to put their work there and to sell
Mm.
it advanced, my Patreon setup. And then yung iba parang they don't want to do comics, they want to do illustration. And yung mga comics that you see will be either mga gag strips or an artist trying to do narrative na short essay about stuff they care about, like
Mm.
something that happened to them that day or past trauma, ganun. Sort of like what we did,
So
pero
that's so
tailored
funny, Rob.
for like Facebook albums and tweets. Yeah.
It's so funny how shifted na yung culture. Kasi like
Mm.
when we were doing yung personal stuff,
Yeah.
it was all superheroes or like fantasy strips. And now like ang daming personal stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's so
Yeah.
weird kasi like you talked about na parang when you first saw yung stuff that I put out, that was
Yeah.
like there's like sporadic. Si Sir Jerry, then like Oliver Palombarit, me ganong sporadic. Now it's like, man, like ano, throw a cat against a wall, tas madaming personal stuff, and they're all pretty good. Like
Yeah.
the technical skill is always there. Yun yung super interesting sa akin ngayon sa internet level. It's like,
Yeah.
so you can draw. Let me see if you have like a interesting point of view. Yun yung
Yeah.
hinahanap ko ngayon. Ganun.
As opposed to before where it's like, I hope they can draw.
I hope my eyes don't bleed when I read this. Ganun.
Yeah. I hope it makes sense. Ganun.
I
Now
honestly
everyone
kind
has
of.
that
Sorry.
baseline of it could be
Mm.
understood and it's aesthetically pretty.
Mm-mm.
Like you're
Pero like,
saying that.
but I
Yeah.
also miss yung times na parang like there's still a comic book na I bought 2006 na I still
Yeah.
talk about with my friends kasi ang pangit-pangit niya. Pero like it was so funny. Yung character designs just so bad. Pero like sa
Yeah.
utak ko, I was like, I miss seeing that. I miss seeing yung really bad manga style na
Comics.
parang they'll have yung where they cut yung panel in half
Yeah.
diagonally like that, and then it's like an eye and an eye ganun.
Mm.
No, kasi like
There's still that. Like the last comic that I went to, there's still that. Like those still exist, man.
that's true, pero like it's also like going through filters of like Procreate and then mga Photoshop. That's para it's a lot more.
Man, you sound like those old people who told us na parang, Photoshop mo na
Yeah.
yun.
Mag-paste up ka
It's
nga.
walang filters yun, dude. Like there's still bad ones out there.
No,
And
I'm
then
not saying like filters.
it's
Like
just
literally kasi we're using
yeah.
the same tools. So like we have the
Mm.
same lines. I'll cop to it. Ganun. I feel like I have a lot of the same lines with a lot of other people then. Ganun.
Yeah. Yan. So I was not looking for like I was gonna bring it back to your question kasi na parang because we went down this hole about if I make comics now for validation, money, or some kind of like
In genuine
self-satisfaction.
yung parang the pleasure like kasi that's what I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with yung the pleasure of doing. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So I bring that back kasi now we see people doing it for all sorts of reasons where it can get you that audience. It could be something you luck into. It could be because you do care about something and comics is the way you communicate it. So yeah, and I think you still see that's a scene. With me, it's like I suddenly have things I want to share, things I want to tell compared to when I started out. And then you see it sa mga comics ko that you pointed out as, okay, I know what happened here. Yeah. Yeah, and you and Apple fucking reading my comics and going like, this is you processing that trauma, Rob. Uh, yeah. So yeah, right now it's both for something to prove to myself that I can still do these kinds of things, and because I like doing it, and I want to keep figuring out how I can do it. For example, I showed you yung third graphic novel ko, diba? Like
Mm,
one long horizontal panel across several pages.
mm,
Yeah, like because comics is still interesting to me. Like I'm still learning new things.
mm,
Just like with any craft, if you try to push it, or you tend to learn na parang you don't have to push so hard. You like yeah, like with your comics now, we're not pushing so hard on trying to break the boundaries of comics. What we're trying to push for is clarity and using the appropriate amount of time on the pages. Like we're being more efficient, we're being more smart about our layouts, we're being more smart
mm.
about where to show off, where to hold back. And I think that's marks of us growing up. Yeah.
Interesting kasi like I was listening to the Sander Cannon interview. Tapos he
Yeah.
was talking about how there was like this scene na ang what he did was just a zoom in on an eye. Thus he felt like
Yeah.
that was the most lazy thing he'd done. Pero he walked away from it and then he went back. Was parang this isn't any better than if I really belabored this. Ganon.
Yeah.
And then you thought was like, okay, so if every drawing is gonna be really, really good on every page, that means na nothing pops out anymore. It's not to be
Yeah.
lazy naman, pero like sometimes
Visual
you gotta
notes.
dash
Yeah.
out a page. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I went through that in 2 books in 2 years. Like
Mm.
sa light, sobrang maximalist. Tapos sa law, sobrang minimalist. And then no one likes the minimalist stuff. Like that's what's frustrating me always, forever. Where it's like, I kind of got lazy. Nah, I'm letting you focus on what I feel like is the thing that you should be focusing on. Yeah.
Well, kasi I think yung light was the broad strokes of a world and a story.
Yeah.
And yung the grandness that you feel when you make a connection with someone. And then with yung Lost, I felt like it was all of you have all these short moments with a person and then yung slowly letting go and then nawawala siya.
Yeah.
It like still amounts to something. Pero then again, kasi sad nga siya. It's not
Yeah.
as rosy. Kasi towards the end of yung first book, you literally open up like a portal into color, di ba? May gano idea then, right? And then sa
Yeah.
second book, it's like it's also the ideas of unreality kasi di ba meron kang glitching stuff doon. Which
Yeah.
I actually like na you didn't do the same book and then you have yung color and then yung mga
Yeah.
susunod pa stuff.
I really wanted it na you see this world na sobrang vibrant and detailed, and it's all stripped away. Like how if you lose someone.
That's not that me saying this stuff isn't even like parang oh he
Yeah.
lived with them 2 years no parang no that's literally like what I thought naman prior
Yeah.
ganun.
Yeah. Like you were living with me while I was working on it, and before all my big losses. Yeah. Like I'll just stop cam for a bit. I'm just gonna fix something. But anyway, I'm still here.
Okay.
Mhm.
Paano pa ba?
No, that ikaw, what do you do it for? Like, is it to make something that you're proud of? Is it to tell the stories that you want to say? Is it for other people's validation? It could be a mix of all three for me. But for you, like, what is the thing you get the most pleasure from? Like, you're asking me where I get it, and it's for me, it's yung pulling off something that I didn't think I could do is one of the greater joys.
Well, I think yung mga sporadic parang wow ganda ng drawing ko dito or like parang fuck nice. Yung gumaganon ako when I make stuff.
Yeah.
I think those are like I would term it parang audible joys Kasi there are things na parang, you don't intellectualize it. You just say, oh, that's pretty cool. Ganon, like, sobrang far from yung usual thought process ko. Um, man,
Yeah.
like, in terms of art stuff,
Yeah.
I went through like a pretty big change in the way I think about it for over the past couple of years. Kasi um, when I started making comics, I felt like I had to. Well, at first I felt like I knew that I was shit, and then it was so freeing because like I knew that I was gonna get better, or like it was almost like that thought na parang I'm not even supposed to be here, and then so I
Yeah.
feel
No
lucky.
expectations.
No
Yeah.
expectations. I felt so punk. I could punk no. I could say whatever. Like I could swear whatever. Ganon. I like yung first two comics. One was like about Jesus Christ. Ganon, literally. Um, pero then as I went along, and then parang people started noticing yung work ko, pero not necessarily like not getting a greater audience. Ganon.
Yeah.
I feel like I started doing it to outdo myself and to prove stuff sa critics or whatever, ganun, to impress people in a
Yeah.
way. Pero like not in any obvious way, It's not like parang oh Josel like drew like this really pretty something. It's more like um look at how smart I am, or something like that. Or like look at how sad I can make you. Ganun, in
Yeah.
a way.
Look how I can
But
make you feel with just a
in,
stroke of my pen.
well yeah, that's what I felt kasi parang it's
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
well you write for the context that you're in. Tapos I felt like parang well, I really like wasted. I really like rawness. So, yun yung gagawin ko. Pero like,
Mm.
it started creeping into like how I work literally like sa mga freelance jobs. Na I wouldn't turn
Yeah.
down work. Kasi yung thinking ko was, so okay, someone offered me like a comic book to do about taxes, literally taxes. That's my
Yeah.
thinking was not, do I want to do this? It was more like, can I
How
do
can I
this?
make this? How can I make
Yeah,
this
like,
good?
yeah,
Yeah, I remember
literally.
that
That was
taxes
parang,
comic.
it's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, it's
Until
pretty
like they
good.
shot it to hell. Pero
Yeah.
like, pero like, it's like, at the end of the day, parang, it's like, yeah, that's as best as I could make a tax comic, pero I wouldn't read a tax comic. Well, I would if like I liked yung artist, but that's like
Yeah.
more of like a novelty. And that was like sort of feeding into yung vanity ko of parang, look at how weird my stuff is, ganun. Pero like
Yeah.
lately, it's been like, do I want to do this? Yun yung thinking ko. And that hasn't happened to me in a very long time. So even if without yung reception, or at least that's what I try to, I realize na I like sitting down and drawing. It's weird eh. Ngayon ko lang na-realize na parang, like, even releasing a comic book recently has been terrible for me because I'd get panic attacks and stuff. Because I'm just
Yeah.
so used to like, not even metrics, just parang there's like that fear of it. So,
Yeah.
in an ideal world, or like realistically, I know na I have more fun with it drawing it kasi I spend so much more time drawing it than actually finishing it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, because when you put it out there, there's not much to gain
Else,
from it.
diba?
Yeah, because
Well, there,
like,
yeah.
yeah, it's like people read it and then they get something from it. Like I know I said I was overjoyed when like I saw kids enjoying my comics and the animations I put out, but it's like it's just that, and then you might have changed the life. I don't know, but I get what you mean. Where it's like you put something out and then you already felt the joy from finishing it or working on it. Does it make sense?
It does, But
Yeah.
like, I there's also joy to be had from yung reception. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not like monk type or anything. Pero like,
Yeah.
there is a point na parang you start trying to understand yung impulses mo of why why do anything, diba?
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's like before I think I would have said something like because it's a story I felt like that needed to be told, ganon. And
Mm.
there's still a lot
Yeah.
of that to an extent. Pero like I don't think um while I think the stories are very important and then what you tell is very important. I don't think I don't know it's almost like you're shooting yourself in the foot if you expect too much na parang a story's gonna save something, you know. You have to do
Yeah.
that on your own. I mean, diba? Like,
Yeah, it's too much. Like, yeah. It's like, what can a story do? No, no.
I mean,
Ex- yeah, yeah,
you've we love stories. We geek out about a lot of shit. Pero like,
yeah.
after you do a story, diba, and then you're proud of it, and like regardless of what you feel about it, I don't know if you would ever really know yung full effect of this thing that you did. So how would you realistically gain anything from that? Kasi you've already,
Yeah.
I mean, apart from yung ego stuff, apart from yung remuneration stuff, na parang like with financial stuff, it's like, I think once you finish like a story, the best thing to do is like move on from it and like do not the next version of it, but like, you know, like,
Something else.
it's interesting din sa akin na parang,
Hmm.
we have a lot of friends na parang quit comics. And then I saw
Yeah.
like a pattern na parang there were some people who quit comics after they made their first book or like they had this brush of like good luck. And then it's like, oh, like very disappointing. Pero you don't seem to be disappointed with yung like you still keep making it regardless of like you're still consistent pretty much. Ganon.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're getting into like why. Because, yeah, like, if the reception is only going to be so much, there's some joys there. Where do we find the drive to keep going?
Mm.
Right? Like, yeah, where you and I have always been on like different greener grasses. Like the grass is always greener. Like I'm jealous of you, you're jealous of me of some stuff, right? Like, yeah, yeah. Like I wish I could do what you could do. And then you feel like there's some stuff with yung stuff of my success where it's like there should be something there that makes us both want to keep going. And
Mm.
that's why I feel like it's not about how a book is received. Because like you've had your successes, I've had my failures. I've had my successes, you've had your failures on how a book we put out gets talked about by people.
Mm.
Like, so it has to be that we kept going not because we were disappointed with receptions to stuff. Like I remember how Pickle was a big like what do you call this? Chip on your
Non-starter.
chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me that was I think sorry. But yeah, it's a big chip on your shoulder, but we still keep making because there's something to comics that makes it, yeah, no, like I wouldn't say it's because I'm doing well that I want to keep making.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like
Well,
I didn't
obviously,
set
yung
out.
example ko, like, di ba? Like, there are people who stop when they were just getting started. Ganon.
Yeah, yeah. The
Mm.
momentum shifted, right?
Mm.
Like we were thinking
I-
this person would be promising, and then they decide to become something else, and it's like
Mm.
because one factor is the economics, where
Yeah.
comics won't make you a lot of money. So that's always gonna be a big thing. And it hasn't made us money, but we still keep going.
Mm.
Right?
No, I
Like,
mean
yeah.
like it's not we yun nga, like coming from me, like people who have done the corporate stuff, mga ganon, like
Yeah.
there's good money in it, but then it's not consistent, and
Yeah.
it's not the same job that it was before. You know, how can it be? Ganon, kasi like
Yeah.
people don't expect to buy comics, ganon. You have good royalties naman, as good as it can be, pero like still not, 'di ba?
Yeah. That's a month's salary after a year of selling. Mga ganun.
Yun nga. So
Yeah.
it's like it's so hard ganon kasi parang you think
Yeah.
publishing is gonna get you to like this level na parang okay, like I'm gonna be able to buy some groceries or something.
Yeah.
But it's
I don't know
like
how writers
there's
do
so
it.
much work.
Yeah, I don't know how writers do it with like their novels and poetry collections and stuff like that.
Well, kasi like kasi it's like it's less physical, you know? Like
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
even the fastest guy
it
is gonna
still
take a
it still
month
takes
to
though.
like do. Like
Yeah,
it still takes time. That's true.
I'm just wondering where they get the money to sustain a living.
Oh no, no. I think it's this.
Hmm.
Might sound assy, pero like since we know ad agency stuff, we know how
Yeah,
much stuff can be. Pero
yeah,
like wala namang ad agency equivalent to like writers dito in the sense na parang you get paid this amount for like one project alone, ganon. And
yeah.
then when you start factoring that into like being like a freelancer, parang why am I gonna fucking draw 6 panels a page for like 24 pages for a fraction of something that I can do one image or whatever. Diba? It like the
Hmm.
economics of it is very very
Yeah.
skewed in like a bad favor. Kasi it's so work intensive. Yung,
In comics, yeah.
yeah.
Like I have this one ongoing project where they expected us to do a 24-page comic and then full color and then 10,000 lang yung budget for this like advertising agency. And it's like
Like
yeah, yeah.
storyboards. Like
You know how much
those
they give?
storyboards sobrang shit the drawing, but you make so much more off of it.
It's so much more. Like a storyboard for a commercial, which is like what 80 panels, right? They will give you
Yeah.
like 70K mga ganun.
Yeah.
Yeah, here it's like 10K. And it's like I'm gonna do a
10K
storyboard
for like
instead.
so like six
Yeah,
panels a page for 24. How many drawings? That's like doesn't work. It doesn't work. Tapos
yeah,
ikri-critique pa
yeah.
and then they're gonna fucking say,
Edit.
ilagay mo tong word balloon na to and it's gonna ruin your composition kasi fuck them.
144 panels, 144 individual
Oh my god.
drawings. Yeah, no. I figured out the way to circumvent that. It's just to half-ass it talaga.
You know,
What is this close up of an eye? It's art.
it's funny kasi parang
Hmm.
you can see when like a comic book is yung super wordy na comic book na you can barely read na parang people start stuffing in like so many words. And then I keep thinking dati parang how could anyone I like wordy comics, but how can anyone do this to like a comic book? Like they obviously it sees sobrang sama niya, right? And then when I worked
Yeah.
on yung tax comic and then they kept re-editing and re-editing, parang, oh, this is how that happens. Someone just gives up along the way kasi pang-anim ng revision. And just don't give a shit anymore.
That's one. The other is you're working with a writer who's treating it like a fucking movie.
Oh my gosh.
No, because they're writing for the screen. Like you've seen Castlevania, right?
I haven't. I've watched the first season.
All right. So you know how Castlevania has all these great Warren Ellis like exchanges, right? In a comic, that would
I
be
wonder.
the whole comic, eh. Like that one scene,
Uh,
like a 1 3 minute scene in Castlevania would be a whole comic because of how much dialogue. And then that's what I mean by that example of writing for screen versus writing for comics. Ellis has to edit the shit out of himself and resist that urge to write like he does for Castlevania because he can, and it's great dialogue. There in a comic, it's like that's gonna take up 24 panels in I know 24 pages, 6 panels. Yeah,
yeah,
I
but
know he's
that's on
canceled,
me.
but like,
That's like
yeah,
that's like new. That's new. That's new comic book writing na parang writing for the trades na sometimes. I mean, see, Alice, I think I was talking with Adam about this na parang
yeah,
yung Tressa was also based on Fell at saka Planetary, yung one issue per thing. Right?
yeah,
I remember that kasi Ellis was a huge influence kay Budget, right?
yeah.
Tapos parang, wala lang. I just remembered na parang, man, no one fucking talks about Fell.
Fucking good comic. But
I can't
yeah,
think,
that's
I can't remember. See Ben Temple Smith, ganon. He was one of those guys that parang was hot for like a second.
yeah. He got his 30 days of night money and he could fuck off. But I mean he could leave.
Yeah.
I didn't not I still love his art. I want him to come back. Pero yun, like that's what I mean by
I
like
don't.
that's
I
another
mean, I don't want him to not come back.
yeah. That's another thing that
I feel
writers
like
in
ang
these
dami niyang
games.
influence sa sobrang bad digital
Yeah.
art. Sorry, sorry.
Oh yeah, actually. Yung mga style niya. I think he did that style for the economics of it. So sobrang smart yung gawa ni Temple Smith. But yung original point ko with
Yes.
bringing up all that is like writers in agencies, copywriters, they know how to write for a commercial, they know how to write for the screen. And then comics writing is like you can only fit so much dialogue in a word balloon. And that's why it also ends up with that like whole page spread of like word balloons taking up 50%, 80% of the page, right? So that's yeah, like I think the person that does this well na screenwriter Ta-Nehisi quotes. Like he gets comics kasi. Pero like if you're working with a fresh screenwriter, fresh theater writer, it's gonna be that na parang you hope that they know how to write for comics. Na
It's not just
it's not
that.
gonna
Like
yeah.
sometimes they'll be like, this will be a wordless issue. Tapos parang, oh man, like I got you so you can fucking do dialogue.
Man.
Pero like I was fuck, I forgot. So you si Coates, yung African American writer. And then oh, you know what? One of the things na parang I learned sa advertising na parang kasi I did so many storyboarding sessions with like directors na commercial directors, like they know how to pick their shots. Sobrang galing. Like I'm always so amazed na parang oh, like that's a good shot that like tells the story, how they move the story around with like kasi you only have like 24 frames to tell the story. So
sobrang efficient nila, diba?
Yeah.
When
you get to work with someone who's so good, diba?
Yeah.
Shout out kay Judd Figueras. Like sobrang love ko yung guy.
Ah, shit. You worked with them. Ganda. Galing niya, dude.
Love.
Yan. That's it. Like, efficiency in picking the right things in a frame. That's what you get from yung working with commercials. So, we wouldn't have
and it's weird kasi like when I started living sorry, go.
I was thinking there's a benefit that we don't have enough money in comics because then we can venture into these other places to learn shit from to apply in comics. I wouldn't have learned about any of this efficient shot.
Seriously, agree.
Yeah.
Like if anything, I learned so much sa time ko sa storyboarding of like um
Yeah, Rick Mati stuff.
like so sobrang bilis ko ngayon, and then like the way that me and Adam work, it's storyboarding na din halos ganon kasi
Yeah,
it's kasi I think yung problem ko before was it's so hard to follow like a verbose script
yeah,
ganon kasi like my brain freezes na parang I have to imagine yung words, which is we still do that pero like um I think yung benefit of the Marvel method where it's just almost like an outline, it
yeah,
helps you get yung steam started. It helps you get
yeah,
yung parang workflow started, and then it's a real challenge for the writer kasi parang they're gonna have to follow yung lead mo. Also
yeah.
lead
Or
you as well. It's like it's a real dance.
yeah, you have to lose a bit of control and get it back later.
Mm, mm.
Yeah,
I mean there
I
are
mean,
fights. Sorry, go.
I imagine that's what screenwriters feel like, except they can't add like better dialogue back.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Parang I didn't write that. Like that ad lib, ganun.
They put a fucking ad lib in this. Anong tears in rain? Anong bullshit?
I feel bad. I feel bad about Blade Runner kasi I can't I like to say na parang I think Blade Runner is a really good five yung last 5 minutes is really good. That's the only part that I like. Yung Tears in the Rain. And
Yeah,
that the
yeah,
screenwriter didn't even write that. Ganun.
yeah. I liked all of it, like the set design, the acting. Yeah. I
But
mean
it's so
that
weird then
it's
na
a
parang
cherry on
nangyari.
top.
Like you got Alien. If they did if they didn't change si Ripley into like a girl, that movie wouldn't be as interesting because it was like a bunch of
Yeah,
dudes. That was just like the space dog, something whatever, bloodhound.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I feel like there's a certain quality to the Marvel method. Na it's through collaboration more than anything.
Kaya ba sa ginagawa niyo ng writer mo ngayon para sa pick-off?
I'm leaving all the control out. I don't want to think about anything, honestly.
It's so
When
fun.
it
Huh?
comes to the story, yeah, yeah. It's like I've done this. I don't care. I'll just make it look good.
Ah, what the
Like I've written a comic and made one. I'm working with you, so I don't have to. Okay, I see that this could be improved in a little. I like that, like the collaboration of it, where it's like they have a vision, and then you start to see na parang okay, cool. Their vision is exactly how I would go with it, and then there's other stuff where it's like, what would work here if you put a little spice in it, like another panel of them, like another
No, I mean,
panel of them just standing still, just little flavor.
no, I get that. Like no,
Yeah,
yung thinking ko always as with kasi I'm the guy in like a group project who will take over. Ganon. When I see like everyone dilly-dallying and then parang I hate yung when like there's a group project tas parang it's like designed by
yeah,
committee. Alam mo yon?
yeah,
Like I want
yeah,
like someone with a vision, not one who everyone who yung like gusto mo ba yan, gusto mo ba yan? It rarely works out. So like even in
yeah,
collaborations, I'm like, okay, I can sit back. You clearly have like an idea. So like
yeah.
I'm gonna bow out. Ganon. I'd rather one person take over than like I guess I'm a fascist if I'm in that
You'd
sense.
rather someone know what they're doing than a committee yes
Yeah.
ending each other, is what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you'd
Kinda.
rather
It's a
go
point.
to a stand up than an improv.
Wait, no. Does
No,
that be
no?
too extreme? Well, because improv people are very nice to each other.
Yeah,
Stand-up
yeah.
people
But
take shits on each other's heads.
improv people like to work together
Mm.
and have a lot of interesting prompts by themselves, I will admit. So it's not the same thing. Yeah, you're right.
They're very different. Ganun. I
Yeah,
don't know what do you think? What do you think kung yari? And like this is just a dumb question, but like which is closer to like a comic book artist, an improv person or like a stand up?
Pare, we're uh no, it's both eh. Like if we look at each other, you're more of a comedian, I'm more of an improv guy.
Mm.
Like I don't do improv, but I can improv really well.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't want to do improv. I never want. It's not because I really like the craft. I just don't like audiences. I have a stage fright. Fuck that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, you fucking said literally that I'm a comedian. I thought na parang yung work ko. Because I was gonna say, no, I'm more improv sa work ko. Pero yeah, there was like a black hole
Yeah.
of 4 years na I tried. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
But that's what I mean then, where it's like,
And then you were in Deus Ex, which is sort of more improv, actually. Tama.
no, more
No, no.
that's that's more of script than stand. And like, we're more theater people as comics people.
Pero it's like improv, not improv, pero like there's like an element of workshopping and then talking it out with each other. Ganun.
Yeah,
So,
like theater.
uh,
Because you perform in a theater troupe, right? And then
mm,
you start to figure out, oh, what if we did this line delivery? So that's more like comics. Improv is on the spot. That's our exquisite corpse stuff. That's us doing like
mm.
Mad Libs, and then like stand up for comics would be yung mga 4 panel strips.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it's more like a perspective thing. That's true.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So we're more
Good.
like theater people, kaya wala tayong pera like them.
They get so much grants though. I think
Yung theater
I guess
people.
that, well, I guess that's the thing that's changing with comics, and there's more of like a push for grants, which is nice, but like,
Yeah, but internationally yan eh.
oh,
Here it's just Comic-Con.
oh, okay.
That's our Cinemalaya eh. Like
Oh,
yung peak off. Like
mm.
we don't have like an MMFF yet.
Remember when it was yung
Yeah.
fully booked Neil Gaiman thing?
Yeah,
Tapos
where you just submit and then gets put in an anthology.
tapos it was, I might be wrong on this, but it was literally yung oh, prize award of like 100,000 was the most amount of money you could win for a literary anything sa buong Pilipinas.
Yeah.
Uh,
And those books are still being sold today. Because no one
man,
bought
like
them. I bought them. I bought them. Pero man, I feel bad that I still see it. Like this was 10 years ago. Why isn't this sold out yet?
well, what do you see? Kasi I think I see yung prose book. I don't see yung
Both.
comic book. So, talaga? Both?
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
It's fine.
Hmm.
It's fine. Not everything sells. And
Going
yeah,
back lang din sa sinabi mo kanina about yung sa Pico chip. Like, I get
yeah,
it. Like, it was super harsh on me kasi I think partly was, I felt like I failed yung all of you, everyone
yeah,
in that book, na parang, like, my thinking naman with these types of things, na parang the idea of success and then reception is, I feel like I'm failing the work. It's not that the work is failing me na parang, how dare you not be well received. It's more like, how can I get people to read this thing kasi part of me really feels like it needs to be read. Ganon.
yeah,
Pero then you can't be too precious about it anymore. Kasi like, you gotta cut attachments as you're growing older, I guess. Kasi I can't feel the same way as I did as a young man being angry at that. Kasi obviously it didn't work. First of all,
yeah,
worked off of spite. Ganon.
yeah. So context on Pico for anyone who sees this. It was an anthology of Filipino creators making kids comics. Comics that is all ages, my activity book, my mga stories that had interesting angles to them. The book had lots of interesting spin-offs na yeah. And we found out that it did not sell well, which is why my chip and Giselle feels responsible because there was a lot of editorial there where he had to fight for certain comics to stay in, and he had to let go a lot of our friends' comics then
Mm.
because they're trying to tailor make it to be an activity book talaga. To their
Mm.
credit, like in parang
I feel like it was tighter naman. I
yeah
wouldn't fight with it naman in the sense that I think the edits, it was hard, pero I understood yung edits. Ganun. It
yeah
wasn't like out of yung
yeah
thought ko. Dun sa iba. Pero also, it's like,
still hurts.
there's something about yung process of that na parang my idea was I wanted it to be as bloodless as possible yung editing process because I knew that it was hard to edit comics. Kasi people don't understand sometimes yung energy put into like making comics. Kasi like sometimes they'll go in at the end and then ask for yung changes when like you presented na yung thumbs initially.
Yeah. Like all of the changes should be in this part because that's where we
Mm.
can change the most. If
Mm-mm.
you have a finished thing, it's like that's already like they did 70% of the work.
Yeah, and it was unfair sa
So,
several people. Pero like like you live, you learn, ganon. I
yeah.
don't want to be like I know it's so parang it's become like a branding thing sometimes. I find the bitterness of Josel Nicolas. But like I don't if anything, I don't want to live in that type of thing. Kasi
Mm.
it doesn't serve you. Alam mo yun? And I see you then, Rob, and you're not that type of person. Tas parang I do take after that na parang, well, my friends, I like my friend, ganon. Why shouldn't I want to have, I know, like, I should be more chill about it, ganon.
Yeah, but I'm like unreasonably chill all the time.
Kasi Aquarius ka.
Yeah. If we're going zodiacs, I go with trauma and understanding. Yeah, don't. I'm a bad example of Zen.
Ano pa ba?
Yeah,
You
there's
reached the, ah,
yeah, there's a certain beauty to folding 1,000 paper nuggets and burning them. uh, yeah,
oh my
I,
God.
sorry to
Okay.
explain that. There's this thing in Chinese culture where you buy paper money, you roll it into a nugget, it becomes a gold bar in heaven if you burn it. So I folded 1,000 of those to send to heaven when my dad died, and I'm like, this is very zen. I feel like I'm doing repentance, but also I'm folding 1,000 pieces of paper. My hands are very dry.
You
Yeah,
wanna you wanna talk about that? We reached the 1 hour mark. Ganon.
yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just talking about yung zen
I thought
stuff ko, where
I
it's
thought
like,
you were joking about like, cause I know paper cranes. I didn't know the paper nuggets.
yeah, it's paper money. Let me get a piece of paper and I can fold it. Yeah. So there'd be paper money like this, shaped like this, and then we have to roll it and then fold it like this so that it's in the shape of a gold nugget. And I did
Oh,
that.
you're pretty good at that, nah.
Yeah, because I had to do it 1,000 times.
So what? I keep
Yeah.
thinking crane because I couldn't do 1,000 cranes. Ganon.
Yeah, I feel like I could do that, and then like I'd get that stupid wish. That's a Japanese thing, right?
I don't know.
All right, we're at the 1 hour mark. What were you gonna say?
That we
What do
could
we?
wrap up if you want. Ganon.
All
This
right,
is
all right.
this,
So
this is pretty fun. Ganon. We could like
yeah,
do thing sign off of whatever. Ganon. Because obviously this is just the catching up.
intro.
Ganon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about why we do the things we do, and we talked about how the scene has changed and how everyone has different goals, and also what exactly are you making comics for. So that's stuff to digest and think about. So yeah, I think Yeah, that's a good hour. And then next hour,
We'll try to get someone on, tapos we'll berate them
yeah,
with questions about process and everything.
yeah. Like we asked them about, alam mo, you ever have to like draw Liza Sobrano drinking a C2?
Man,
Did
I
that
hate
help
that.
you in your comics?
No, I hate that sa
It's a storyboard.
pag based storyboarding, tapos parang pwedeng kamukha ng tao. So, bakit? Who gives a shit?
You Yeah, you want this to take longer? Do you want me to copy paste the
Lagay mo na
paste
lang yung
na?
name, Liza, or like,
Yeah.
but then like,
This
it's
is
hard to
Nikki
be,
Hill. Just trust me.
it, it's hard to be mad at that kasi parang like, I'm sure you've had yung revision na parang, hindi na pala siya babae, lalaki na siya. And then babalik sa babae sa third round. It's like, oh, pero that's
Yeah,
like good money. Pero like sometimes I wanna yell at them na parang, like, you don't have to pay me like 500 pesos just to change na naman yung gender ng taong to for no real reason. You could just note it down. Ganun.
let them pay you.
But
That's like,
it's weird kasi like storyboarding, I've always explained it. Pag sa commercial, it's like, oh, that's yun yung resibo ng ahensya
yeah,
sa isa't isa.
yeah. 500 pesos. That's 10 Burger McDonald's.
Talk. Miss ko na
Yo.
command. So, sige dude,
Yeah.
let's end yung broadcast. Goodbye. Maybe we'll do this again next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.